Okay, so I've been following you, not in a creepy way, on Twitter. You're a big Twitter user. And I noticed one of the things that you retweeted was Ellen, because the Owl City song Good Time, she said that's her summer jam. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty awesome. She's an amazing woman, so getting kudos from her is like the ultimate cool.
And with the people outside, I mean, I think Call Me Maybe is the summer jam for a lot of people. What's your summer jam right now, or summer jams?
I usually have more like a summer playlist.
Okay.
But I think topping the charts on my summer playlist would be, I love the song We Are Young by the band Fun. I think that one's rad. What else? Call Your Girlfriend. I'm still obsessed with the entire Robin record, Body Talk. It's just so good. And actually I'm a really big fan of Dragonette, so I'm stoked for today because I get to see her.
That's so awesome.
Well, the band. Get to see the whole band.
A year ago, you were a Canadian indie artist. You had been known through a reality singing contest, but it wasn't until you released Call Me Maybe that suddenly things blew up. And now, Call Me Maybe, everyone around the world knows it. It's #1 on the Billboard charts. It's in the top 10 for iTunes. I mean, is it still surreal for you?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's been kind of like this lovely roller coaster ride that at this point is just still going up. And I feel very fortunate that I've kind of been given this amazing opportunity, but it still is it's a lot of work, but it's really satisfying work. And I feel, like I said, just happy that it's something I'm getting to experience in my lifetime.
And, I want to take a step back. With the genesis of that song, can you take me through where your mind was at when you were writing that?
Yeah, it was actually just kind of a casual fun write with two of my good friends, Tavish Crow, Josh Ramsey, and we sort of kind of began as a little kind of folk tune that Tav and me did when we were on the road together, and Josh, of course, sort of embraced the hook chorus part, and he's like, you need to double that, and I don't know, it just sort of happened over 5 days, mixed, mastered, done, and we felt excited about it, but we didn't expect this. We thought, maybe people will like it, but we didn't know that people would embrace it the way that they have, and it's been life-changing and very encouraging to see.
Yeah. What aspects of the song kind of speak to your own experience, that song?
The first actual lyric of that song was written for the guy that I'm seeing now, and it was the part, before you came into my life, I missed you so bad. Because that concept's really true. I knew I was missing something, and once he arrived, I was like, you're what I was missing. And the rest of the song was sort of more the idea of being brave and going in for that pickup. And I think being a girl who's been too shy to do that, it's fun to kind of live vicariously through your music,
Yeah, and the thing with the song, it's so energetic, it's so happy, it's essentially pop, and it is pop. And, but your earlier stuff was a bit more folky. I mean, when did you decide to make that transition to a more poppy sort of a palette?
It wasn't a conscious decision. It was sort of more like an attraction to that style of music. And I think I was very influenced with Tug of War, my first kind of beginner album, by what I grew up on, which was my parents' music and their influence, which was James Taylor, Van Morrison, Ricky Lee Jones. And I think Tug of War is kind of the aftermath of growing up on a diet of those artists. And when I moved to the city, I kind of just started going dancing and hanging out with different clubs and friends and hearing new sounds. And I think Dragonette, I think Katy Perry and Robin, and all of a sudden I went into the studio and I'm writing these pop songs, and I didn't decide to do it, it just sort of happened. And at one point I just kind of threw my hands up in the air and said, well, this is what I'm naturally wanting to do, so let's just see where this leads.
And I think millions of people out there are happy that you did that, because you've provided a soundtrack to their life. I know our producer Kieran, who's standing over there, he blasts your song after every show.
I am happy to hear that. Thank you.
So, you were an indie independent artist for a while. What did you learn from that experience doing it on your own that you're carrying on with your career now? Because it's much bigger.
Yeah, I feel grateful for that time. I'm sort of grateful for both. I remember being sort of, I think, 7 years old and saying with utter passion to my parents that I wanted to grow up to be a singer. And I was lucky in high school to be in this little musical called Annie. And on the closing night of that thing. I just was bawling because I was thinking, what if that's it? Like, what if that's my one taste at this? And that was the night that I decided it would be better to do a slow climb in a career rather than be like that child star and not appreciate it. And in a really weird way, I think that's sort of how my life has played out. I've done the grind of like, you know, making my own posters and like stapling them up around town and being my merch seller because I couldn't afford to bring someone on the road. So just sort of hoping that while my set was being played that no one was just sort of like taking t-shirts because they could have. And then sort of getting this leg up from Justin and Scooter Braun and just being kind of getting to play this new world, it makes me sort of see the people who are still doing those jobs and being like, I get it, this is a machine and it's not just about me, but I get to have a lot of help and we get to spread the music together, you know?
Well, with Justin Bieber, I mean, he is such a juggernaut now. Everyone loves him, and he's such an entrepreneur as much as he is a musician. I mean, what sort of advice has he handed off to you?
He's sort of led by example, I think, in just being very young and at the same time so mature and getting through this business and keeping a head on his shoulders and being what I admire most, really about the music, like really about the songs and the performance and just back to all of the chaos of the fans and all that, which he embraces, but strictly about providing, you know, quality songs. And that's all I hope to do as well, you know?
Well, you know, I've always been curious, when you're on the stage, you have so many fans out there that look at you with such admiration and such love for your music. I mean, when you're singing up there, what's going through your head?
Oh, different things. My favorite moments on stage is when I do get kind of like lost in the lyrics of it, or in the feeling of, you know, sharing a moment with a fan, or seeing someone miming every word, and you're just like, oh, great, let's sing it together. There are magic moments on stage, but there's also moments of like panic where you're like, oh, my ears just fell out, and I don't really know what key we're in anymore, and you're like kind of trying to like dance over here while you put your ear back in, and I think that there's just different elements of the stage that are just like real life. There's ups and downs, and then there's those glorious moments that just feel like magic, and it makes all of the rest worth it.
Mm-hmm. I want to take it back to Call Me Maybe as we wrap things up. You know, the song is such a bona fide hit, but a lot of times having a hit is a double-edged sword because there's a bit more of a pressure to have a follow-up and whatnot. So, I mean, have you experienced these anxieties, or how do you kind of keep that aside to focus on the moment?
I think it's definitely something that people would ask me about, and I never really thought about it until in interviews it kind of came up a lot, and I was like, well, should I be worried? Like, oh my goodness, I wasn't, but yeah, maybe I am. And then a good thing happened with Our Good Time coming out, and I think in the second day it was like #3 on iTunes. So it was like, oh, we have a #1 and a #3. I'm a very lucky girl. And I've always sort of looked at this sort of ride as a lovely bonus experience I'm getting to enjoy. Not something that I need or that I have to have, but something that I want to not make the goal having #1s. I want to make the goal just sort of being able to be in a career where I can share more music. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm going to try not to feel too much other pressure other than putting out quality stuff.
Right on. And my final question is, where would you like to see yourself in, let's say, 5 years from now?
5 years is a funny question. I mean, I would not have expected myself to be here last year, so I think that sort of that vision, that dream is constantly shifting and changing. But I definitely want to embrace this career for a while, and then one day, you know, the last possible second, I'm gonna pop out some babies and and enjoy that kind of side of life as well. So I want to do it all.
Right on. Well, 3 months ago, I wouldn't imagine that I'd be sitting down one-on-one. So thank you for accomplishing that dream.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks for sitting down with
Awesome.
me tonight. I appreciate it. Sweet. High five.
High five.
I don't know why I just high five.